Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I recently posted a video of a couple of Meghan Markle's sugars who, so all they do is post very angry video. It seems very orchestrated, very strategic, basically a part of Harry and Meghan's psyop, in my opinion. Every single video. Now, this woman has a couple of different channels, two that I found, where she's doing the same thing, just ranting on and on. Very angry, very provocative. She's very good at it. You gotta hand it to her. She does know how to inflame people. But this is the kind of rhetoric that led to the BLM George Floyd riots, based on a lie. And this is something that is part of Harry and Meghan's psyop. This is very much part of it that needs to be addressed, and people need to not fall for it again, because they did in 2020 and they had all the riots. And no doubt they would love to do that again because, of course, all goes back to the globalists, divide and conquer, and race is one of their favorite topics to do so. Just recently in a video I just made, I pointed out that whenever Harry and Meghan make a big PR puff piece extravaganza, they come out and with a big story of Oprah interview or a Netflix show, or they come out with something big and they dominate the headlines and the social media. People are chatting about it. And then, boom, they come out with the racism. It's always everyone's racist, you're racist, but it's racism. White people are racist. And they try to blame racism for why Meghan Markle is so unlikable. It's laughable, but this is a very powerful psyop. And I believe that these people, you're watching here, I believe they're paid from her PR to promote. It's very evil and satanic. And I don't know, in my opinion, these people seem like demonically possessed the way they are. They're not normal. And the hysteria and hatred and anger that they inflame is a spiritual warfare, and this is just plain evil, what they're doing and what they're promoting. So I apologize if it's, you were disturbed by the clip I posted, but this is the type of stuff that they're putting on TikTok. So this is targeting young people because we know it's mainly young people on TikTok. So it's a lot of inflammatory rhetoric and hatred and just evil that these people are spreading. Now, remember, going back, this has been going on with Harry and Meghan and their psyop from the very beginning. And again, TRG covers this whole military grade psyop, and from that perspective, you can learn about it. But I just wanted to quickly point out that at first, it started from the very beginning with Harry and Meghan, right? Because from the first moment we heard Harry had a girlfriend, he was immediately making a statement from Kensington Palace saying, "Leave my girlfriend alone, you're all racist." So this started in 2018, right? This is before they were married. They were accusing everyone of racism. It was so obvious that this was part of the plan. It was part of their psyop to push the racism right from the very beginning, right from the get-go. And it's so obvious how contrived and fake and just evil it is. It's just a complete lie. And of course, Satan works with lies, and so here we are. But they really, with the power of the globalist mainstream media backing them up, they were able to inflame a number and upset people with the constant repetition of this. For those who pay attention to the mainstream media, which I highly recommend you don't, because I'm sure they're going to try. They're doing it again. They haven't stopped.
In the Oprah interview, you accuse members of your family of racism. You don't even
the British press said that.
Right.
Did Meghan ever mention that they're racist?
They're just waiting for another opportunity. And of course, with Trump in office, they want to do it again. They want to make more riots, more hysteria. But just looking back now, these are articles from August 30th, 2019 to December 31st, 2020. And I just want to point out, it was right when they did the Megxit thing in 2020, right when COVID started, that's when they really inflamed the racist rhetoric. They really got these people out like this, like, UK's a racist, Britain's a racist, royal family's a racist, right? So they really revved them up and put them out on social media to do their inflammatory videos and rile people up. and they had the globalist mainstream media was covering it. So just to look back at the articles of that year, from August 2019 to December 2020, look at the mainstream media articles here and what they were saying. Suddenly, Britain was racist everywhere, right? Out of boom, they're just coming out with it everywhere, and in the U.S. Media as well.
They've emerged again. The Duke and Duchess of Montecito are back in the headlines via their unofficial mouthpiece, Omid Scobie. Lady Colin Campbell calls him scabies. I like to call him Scooby-Doo, if it hadn't been for those pesky Dutch. This will be Scobie's second major book centred around the royals. The first, Finding Freedom, which I like to call Finding Fantasy, was about Harry and Meghan's departure from the UK. Now, this was the book that Meghan claimed she had not sanctioned or briefed him on, only later having to admit in the court of law that she'd actually forgotten that she had, in fact, briefed him. Well, that's convenient. So
Racism in the UK is worse than racism in US on Reddit. Is racism common in Sheffield? Suddenly everybody, they're pushing it out there in every social media platform, whether it's Reddit, TikTok, YouTube, wherever, Twitter, of course, everywhere they could get it. Oh, is it systemic racism? Okay, just remember, whenever you see systemic racism, that is Marxist communism. Because what they're saying there, they call systemic racism, they're referring to capitalism. You can watch Carolyn Borisenko. She breaks it down for you. Yeah, that they claim that capitalism causes racism because white people own black people, but you also had slavery where black people own white people, but they forget that part. They're just looking at the other one, and they're saying, aha, capitalism. Their theory is we need communism and tyranny to get rid of that racism, that systemic racism called capitalism. So that's why I always say that Harry and Meghan are Marxist communists and pushing that agenda, because they really are. Because whenever you see systemic racism, they're referring to capitalism. But it's convoluted, though. They mix it up, though. It's confusing because they do talk about racism as skin color, but then they're using phrases like systemic racism, referring to capitalism. So it's like this communist. This is why communism is evil as well. It's very satanic at the base of it. So they're interweaving two ideas with this racism.
Basically, her first account was pretty much, well, what equates to a lie. Now, Omid's new book, Endgame, which I suspect is a premonition for what is to become of his career and, of course, his finances, because somehow, according to his book, there were not one, but two royal races, which are named in the Dutch translation.
And this is to help promote, destroying Western societies. In racism study, almost all black children have experienced racism. Meghan, Harper's Bazaar. Meghan Markle tabloid stories were racist, sexist, and prejudiced. Yeah, but when they gave people like Catherine Middleton a hard time with the Wadey Katie, that's okay. But Meghan, you can't criticize Megalodon, even though Megalodon does the most ridiculous, stupid things, like that cooking show. Oh my gosh. This is the latest example.
Which was released in the Netherlands this week. He doesn't actually use the word racism, it's that popular term, unconscious bias. The racism row, of course, all centres around Meghan's comments on the Oprah interview, which the Sussexes did to mark the start of their worldwide privacy tour. According to the couple, there were concerns about how dark their unborn baby's skin would be, and that the baby may not be given a title because of it.
Right, but anyways, back to the racism. Be aware that they are provoking people, trying to provoke people, and this is all. The point of all this is that this is all paid for and encouraged and proliferated by the globalists. And I suspect they'll do it again, probably sooner than later. So I guess I just wanted to say, don't let them provoke you. Don't start, don't fall into the trap.
Well, up until now, the person who apparently made these comments had remained anonymous. The speculation as to who it might be meant that the royal family were initially branded as racists, and the Queen issued that famous statement saying that recollections may vary.
Don't just if they do it again, and they're gonna do it again, and they're already doing it on TikTok. There's no point lowering yourself to their level and rolling around in the mud with their lies. Just, be aware. No, it's going to be constant, and this is part of Harry and Meghan's psyop. And
Our last years, in fact, were clearly made very miserable. But Omid is now distancing himself from his Dutch translation of his own book, which names the so-called royal racists. And he's now insisting that he did not put their names into the manuscript and appears to be blaming it on the translator.
Harry and Meghan. And actually, as one person said in the comment section, they feel like it's this is Meghan's rhetoric. It really feels like it's Meghan yelling at you. It's so scripted. And the information that these people have, if you listening to what they say, they have so many details that only someone who's getting information fed directly from Harry and Meghan or their PR would know this stuff. This is not just a regular person who's not connected blathering away about racism. I mean, this woman and the other man, they seem to have connections to Harry and Meghan quite obviously with the information that they're spewing out.
Does that sound right to you? Have a listen to his defence.
The Dutch publisher told us there was a translation error, and so you get on with the day and then it sort of unfolds from there. So I'm looking forward to finding out more about it, because the English version of the book, the only one I know, the version that I signed off on, that is the book that is out there today. That's the book that has no names in it.
And like Piggy Vibrations said, they have a reflection of Meghan's rage behind the scenes. Yeah, so when listening to this woman, it really feels like this is what Meghan wants to say to everybody, but she's hiding behind the scenes. So I feel like this is who Meghan is portraying herself as. She's hired this actress, I assume. Even I don't know anything about this woman, but she looks like she could be an actress, right?
This is ridiculous. I mean, well, firstly, let's start with the main one. Wondering about the tone of an unborn baby's skin is akin to wondering what colour their hair or eyes might be. And it's all the more exciting when the couple are mixed.
It's kind of the vibe I get from this. So, but just keep in mind that this whole race baiting stuff has been going on from the beginning of Harry and Meghan's relationship, and it's going to continue. And it is to this day. This just came out a few days ago, this latest race baiting article. They're going to do more. And so just to be prepared and to not fall for it and not let them upset you and instigate you. Just, liar. No, they're not racists. When they start this crap, again, just be like, no, not true. You're liars. That's all you have to say. So why inflame Britain about racism? I think it's in order to bring in the New World Order, which entails bringing in military-aged men en masse, flood the country, and start a civil war in order to clamp down and use these people, these men, as UN troops to bring in the tyranny. So I think it's all related. And of course, Harry and Meghan support the refugees, they call them. There's no refugees here. Just a bunch of military-aged men ready to fight, is what it looks like to me. And they are attacking Britons and the rest of the world, Europe. And they've been doing it in America as well. But this is the migration replacement and or UN troops to bring in the next phase of the New World Order, to fulfill that 2030 agenda that King Charles is such a fan of, and the rest of the globalists. All right, so I hope you found this helpful. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.
When Harry was gently confronted by his good old friend Tom Bradbury about the supposed racist, Harry claimed it was not racism but unconscious bias, and that the word racism was not actually used.
Stability. In the Oprah interview, you accuse members of your family of racism. You don't even...
The British press said that.
Right.
Did Meghan ever mention that they were racist?
She said there were troubling comments about
There was
his skin
concern
colour.
about his skin colour.
Right. Wouldn't you describe that as essentially racist?
I wouldn't, not having lived within that family.
Right.
So
You
again,
don't
going back to
Yeah.
the difference between what my understanding is, because
Okay.
of my own experience, the difference between racism and unconscious bias, the two things are different.
Yet they picked up an award for standing up to racism in the royal family. I'm confused. I also fail to see how if someone truly were concerned about the skin colour of your baby and vocalised it to you in a negative manner, how that can be unconscious. It doesn't even make any sense. I'm afraid nothing adds up with these two. Why didn't Harry and Meghan clear up this misunderstanding if by their own admission, the royal family aren't racist, instead of allowing them to be dragged through the mud by the global press? I suspect Harry doesn't really understand racism. After all, he dressed up as a Nazi in his youth to go to a party, and even then he blamed his dressing up in that manner on William and Catherine. Come on, Harry. Meghan, you blamed your family for staying silent. Are you going to condemn Endgame? Well, speak up.